Hi, and welcome to another episode. My name is Audale Martin. So we're going to get right back into where we were last session with the intervals, inversions, and some other things. I started with a song, Mercy Said No. I didn't play the entire melody, and I didn't play it so distinct because that's the singer's part. But what I did was to play through the chord changes and the progression and all of that. Um, and I did that just now so we could get just a clear listen of what it is to listen to the keyboard section without a singer singing, and how we approach it in a very complimenting way. I could say that. So just very nice and mellow. And so we'll be talking about the music and how to uh, follow a singer in a very simple way, not using anything fancy, but just sounding very clear and intentional about what we're doing. But we'll be using and pulling from the other episodes as well. So you can always go and check back on some of the previous classes to reference anything that I may say that I may not explain today. All right, so quickly, we're just going to go through just a little warm-up exercise. And it's not really for my warm-up, but just to give ideas of what we could use to warm up with. So as usual, we will start with a major scale. There are times when we will not start with a major scale, but for now we will start our major scale, and this is from the octave C major scale. Alright, D major scale, major scale, F major scale, G major scale, A major scale, E major scale, C major scale. All right. But there are other ways to play the scales. We don't have to start with, in this case, a C. We don't have to start with C, and we can actually start at the third. We'll use finger 3, start at the third, and in our left hand, it's just to challenge ourselves, because practicing don't mean to have fun all the time. Challenge ourselves. So we play the root, or C, which is 1 in the key of C, in the left hand, and we play the third in the right hand, and we try to keep the fingering as we know it, 1, 2, 3, under 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm counting the fingers. That's the fingers 1, 2, 3, finger 1, finger 2, finger 3, and then under finger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So I'm starting with finger 3 on E, right? And the pinky in the left hand, and I'm moving like that. Can be very tricky. So you go through it real slowly, just starting from the third of the scale. That's E, 1, 2, 3. So E, F, and I'm using the correct fingering starting from E, fourth finger on B, come on C. Or you could actually play from E as if you're starting from C with a C major fingering 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Or you can just use the natural fingering from E, which is finger 3, going under to finger 1. So you can practice both fingerings. And you do it in a different scale, so you do it in D as well. Some of our fingering was wrong right there, but I've practiced this to the extent where even if I use wrong fingers, you still get a smooth transition, and you may not realize that I'm using wrong fingers. And smooth transition in terms of sound. So a lot of times I'm not always playing to detect the exact what you must play kind of thing, but there is a fluency to enough practicing, and so you can substitute fingers and all of that. All right, so there's that, and you could make simple melodies. So you have the major scale again in your left hand, C, C, or you can practice it like this. Let's see, what's this right here in my left hand? This is a E and a C. This is, and I'm omitting the G from the C chord, and I put the G here, and a C here, and I can move like this. So what I'm doing in my left hand, a 1 and the interval, that's a fifth away from C. In this case, C to G, that's a fifth interval away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then D to A. So these are perfect fifths apart, right? Well, except for this one, it said when you're at B, this is not a perfect fifth. This will be the perfect fifth. But in this case, we will play, or we can play B and G. So this is what we're going to be doing. So I'll play a melody like, let me see. Alright, let's work with this one now. Alright, so I'm playing a C chord, a D minor chord. I'm still keeping the C on the top. Come up here. So D chord. This is an E chord. This is a C chord really in an inversion. Alright, that's it. Just that part. And you move that around in different keys. Let's try it in D. Go here. A nice and simple sound. So this is me still working along the major scale and trying to find different sounds. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it in G. So I have the first, the fifth, the third, and the first, like that. And that G remains the same. So this is 1, 2. This is really a 1 chord again, but the 3 is the lowest note, so it's in an inversion. And you can always check the other sessions to see what the inversions are about. Right, so it's 1, 2. I'm going to call it 3, but it's really 1, 4. It have the feeling of a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's move that around in different keys. 1. This is in F. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it in A. 1, 2, 3, 4. In B. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it in F sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4. C. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it in E. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it in B flat. 1, 2, 3. Let's try it in E flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it in A flat. 1, 2, 3. Let's try it in which key I haven't touched? Let's try it in. I think I touched everything. Did I? Yeah. That's it. So it's just that first part of the scale. And it's just a nice sound, and a nice sound also include how you touch the keys, not too harsh or not too fast. And I say fast because if you touch the keys like too quick, it can sound very staccato or detached. That's not a good description in terms of what I'm saying, but you want to listen to how you sound playing it. You don't just want to bang, but dynamics is a thing that really helps to make the sound quality different. So when you're practicing your scales, you want to practice and make them sound real, moving, not just trying to get through the scale and the notes, but and you don't have to practice them this fast. You can practice it real slow. You just want to get that legato feel moving. I don't remember if I showed you how to get from one octave to the next. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B. That fourth finger on the B. Notice where your fourth finger always be in any major scale or any scale really, because that finger can be a tricky finger, the fourth finger. So C, D, E on the F, G, A, B. It's on the 7th degree of the scale. And then you go under with 1. If you're going to continue the scale again, under. That fourth finger to the thumb, right? Coming back down, fourth finger. So you have to notice where that fourth finger is all the time. Right, and that's how you move through the octaves. Right, and you're ensuring that each note sound the same in terms of how much space is between. If you rush stuff, no, we don't want to, and that's why we use a metronome. We just give it that tick, tock, 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 tick, tock, right? And you just make sure that's steady and nice. And also you want to practice with a metronome. So for example, when I was practicing a lot, I'd practice, for example, like Mercy said, no, with a metronome. The song is not so dead strict to the time, but you get a good sense of time. And sometimes when I'm playing, you'll hear me do like a little click sound with my, like, it helps me to keep the time, and many friends laugh at me, but it's a very good way to help you keep time, like inner pulse. So if you're not doing it loud, you just, or you have some little grunts that help you to keep time. Like if something is not exactly in time, meaning it's not on the beat and you want to make sure you get that off the beat kind of thing. You make sounds, but you're not talking to anybody, nobody not hearing you, but it helps. All right, so those are some of the things I practice, and you want to practice just making your practice session feel like a music session. So if you're practicing your skills, like the thing I did earlier, this, you want to just, so if you listen, every sound is not exactly the same. So you're tat, 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 like you're giving an echo back kind of feel. And some of the time I'm not even trying to press. I'm using my arm weight to because arm weight and pressing is two different sounds. Like if we listen very keenly, it's or at least when you're practicing on a touch response keyboard, meaning you can get loud and soft, and even better on a piano really gives you back what you give it. This is a keyboard, I know the difference, a piano versus a keyboard. You can get really lost in that nice sound. Let's try it in F. And this is just me just talking about practice, and look how much time we take talking about practice. So I'm just saying practice is so important. You don't just try to practice to get through the notes. What a lot of persons try to do is just try to swat the stuff, or this is what Audale said, so let me try and get this through. No, you want to fully understand what this is about, because music is an art, and you really want to get the art across. You want to convey your message through the instrument or through your voice or whatever, piano, drums, guitars, bass, whatever it is. You want to make sure that you are connected to the instrument in such a way that you can really convey through the music what you're trying to say. It's a language. All right, let's see what else I have here. So let's just go through the inversions. We'll be at a break shortly. Let's just go through the inversions. And we did our root position triads. C triad, D triad, E triad, F triad, G triad, A triad, B triad, C triad. And just to remind you, a triad is just simply 3-note chords, right? C, E, G. You have 4-note chords. We call them sevenths. I may touch on them today, just maybe. And it's not anything complex, but I may touch on them. So we have the triads. Please, people, as you get these information, just practice them. So this is root position. Put it in first inversion, and first inversion simply means that the third is the lowest note. So I'm now putting C at the top. I now have EJC. Hope this is clear. EJC, right? And this is now first inversion. If I put a C in my bass, however, it's now back to root position because my lowest note is a C in the C chord. If I had the E as the lowest note, like just omitting the left hand and have E, it's first inversion. If I had a C triad like this and have an E bass, it's still first inversion because the lowest note is the third, right? Of the third of the chord. Alright? But let's just go with the right hand. I'm in first inversion and I'm moving the chords up like this, which is, let me play them in root position in the left hand, which is a C chord root position, but here it is in its first inversion. Here's a D chord root position, D, F, A, but here it is in its first inversion. F, A, D. So you notice the F in the middle here is not the lowest note at top. E, G, B is now G, B, E. F, A, C is now A, C, F. G, B, D is now B, D, G. A, C, E. C, E, A. This one here, B, D, F. Which is now D, F, B, and then G. Right, so those are inversions. And make sure you go through them real nice and simple. Get used to this in this feeling right here of 1, 2, 5. And get that structure, that muscle memory committed. So when you just go bam. Our first inversion, you know, it's 1, 3, 5. You can just go bam. For our second inversion, which is a 1, 3, 5 as well, but bam. You want to can feel these out real quick. Right? So first inversion, root position, first inversion, second inversion, root position, first inversion, second inversion, root position. Or broken, you can break it, broken chords. C, E, root position broken, then second inversion. And this may be fast for some person, so you can slow it down. It's not about the speed, it's about getting the fingers really acquainted and say, I'm getting it. Or you can... Not about the speed, let me slow it down. It's not about the speed, it's about the accuracy. The speed will come over time. Right? The speed will come over time. Some keyboards don't respond as quickly as some, and so you might change your technique based on the keyboard. So on this Yamaha Modex, some things may be better on a piano, some things may be better on this. So you have to learn the instruments different when you play an instrument. You have to quickly adjust. Alright, so I have 30 seconds on the clock. So we will be back after the break, and we will be going to practicing using our inversions with some hymns, and then I may touch on some 7 chords.
Healthcare workers are working very hard to ensure lives are saved and people recover quickly from COVID-19. But their work is becoming harder because you're not wearing your mask, washing your hands with soap and water, or using hand sanitizer, and you are not maintaining physical distance. Let's limit the need for hospital beds and ventilators. Do the right thing. Cover your nose and mouth with a mask. Practice good hand hygiene and maintain a physical distance of 6 feet between you and others. COVID-19 is not over. Protect yourself while protecting others. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The next person in line, your friend at school or your co-worker, may have COVID-19 and not know because they have no symptoms. You, on the other hand, could be hospitalized for 2 months or more if you become infected. Is it worth it? Stay socially connected, but keep the physical distance. Stay 6 feet away and avoid a hospital stay. COVID-19 is not over. Protect yourself while protecting others. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
And we're back. So let's go through some inversions with the song Praise to the Lord, the Almighty, the King of Creation. Let's try that song. Let's try it in C. And we'll try to move it out of C so we can see what it looks like in other keys. That's the first few bars of that song. Let's play it again. Alright, let's just try to put a bass note to it. Let me see. I put the bass note to it so I can see what the progression is that I'll be using. Let's see. So praise to I'm going to use that. Praise to. Matter of fact, we just use the chords right now, just for now, to follow the melody. So the melody is, right, which is a whole C major triad right there. The melody is a C major triad, broken like from the first to the fifth to the third. Praise to the Lord. That's a C major triad right there, right? So sometimes melodies, they break up the triads and make melodies out of them. So seeing that that's a whole C major case right there, we can use C major chords in inversions. Let's try that. Right? Look at that. This is a first inversion, and I choose first inversion because I know that the melody of Praise to the Lord, the beginning melody, is at the C right there. So I'm going to adjust the chord or use the right inversion to make the melody be at the top of the chord. The melody is at the G now. So I'm using root position because I know in root position the melody, which is G, will be at the top. So I know the melody is at E, and I know second inversion will have the third at the top, right? So that's, I could go, so praise to the Lord. That's a G to a C. Well, there are multiple things you could do. Could do multiple things. So looking at let's break that up some more. So if let's say I omit the G, let me come up here. Let's say I omit G and put it here. This is a perfect voicing that you'll find in the hymn. In the hymnal, like to voice stuff like that. We call it open. It's an open structure. This is a closed structure. But we open the chord and we take that G and put it down here. Probably in jazz or in some other theory, they will call it like a drop two voicing, where they literally take the second note they're calling the two and put it somewhere else. So it's a drop two voicing. So the melody goes praise to the Lord. So I go. Right? I mean, you won't see this so parallel meaning like this exact voicing moving like that, because it kind of go against some theory rules. But it's just a good exercise. I didn't do that earlier, I did this earlier. And simply changing a few notes will give you a different chord, and it changed the entire color of what the sound is. So let's do it again, and we'll do C, this is a C chord, a G chord. Instead of going to a full C chord, I can go to an A chord. Let's put that in its root position so we see what that is. A, C, E. A, C, E is a chord, so I did. So I have the A here, I have the C here, and I have the E here. So it's praise to. Right? Or I can go to change this A to a G, and it becomes an entire C chord, but in this case it's an A. Can I just add a seventh chord somewhere so you can hear the difference, what a seventh chord will do? Or let's try it. So hear that chord right there? Oh, that's not the entire seventh. That would be right. So the hymnal would definitely do something like that. And if I go to that chord, I have to go to a right. Let's just talk about that little movement at the end right there. A nice, what we call cadence. It's a play gal cadence, 4-2-1, where at the end of songs we will have. So It's like playing a 4, which is a F, down to the C. Right? What we'll do is keep the C. Why we keep that C? Because that C is still a part of a F chord. We know the F chord to be FAC. So I keep the C and I add the A here, and I have the F here, and I have a C here. And all I do is change it in the middle notes, and this A go down to a G, and this F comes down to a E, which gives you the full C chord, right? Alright, so that's a nice little resolution there. It just feels so resolved. So after we do right, you can do the whole 4 chord, which means to play the F in the bass and then go to. Depend on how you feel or how the singer is singing or how you feel about it. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about 7 chords. Let's talk a little bit about 7 chords. And it's simply just adding one more note to the triad, right? Here's C, E, G, and we're going to add the 7th of the major scale, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, B, right? And so the fingers we use 1, finger 2, finger 3, finger 5. Normally when we're playing the triad, we use 1, 3, and 5 in terms of fingers. 1, finger 3, finger 5. But now we use finger 1, finger 2, finger 3, and finger 5 to accommodate that 7th, right? And it is literally the 7th, we call it C major 7, not just because it's a 7th in the scale, but in context of where C is from B, it's a 7th, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and not necessarily by. Let me just go on the board a little. Let's just write this out so we see the intervallic space. All right, so we're just going to look at some interval distance to really get not just the theory behind it, but why we need to understand it from a board's perspective so we can put it on the instrument, right? So the notes I was playing just now, C major 7, and the name of that chord literally tells you what I'm playing. C major. Literally, it's a C major chord with a 7th, right? So here's C major chord, X marks the spot, C, E, G, and then here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the 7th of the scale, 8 or 1, right? And that's the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th. It's really that clear. And if you count from C, 1, 2, without these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, it's the same thing, but here, I could consider D to be 1. So I could say a 7th from D is, we have to count, assuming D is 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. C would be a 7th away. So let's just remove this right here. Don't want it confusing. So I'm looking, let me just extend this right here. F, G, right? So in any case, if you're looking to understand how to assess and calculate the intervals, you always assume whichever beginning letter to be 1. So if you want to find a 5th away from E, simply assume E to be 1, and then you count E as 1, F as 2, G as 3, A as 4, B as 5, right, the 5th. E to B is a 5th. And you want to know this just from the top of your head, real quick and fast. Somebody's supposed to can say, what's the interval distance between F and D? You should be able to can say a 6. Let's count it. F, here is D. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You should be able to can just do that, right? You need to know these intervals. What's the space between C and I don't know. I really know this stuff. I could say C and then the E way up the top past the C. I could say that's a 10th, which is this C to this E up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? You're supposed to can just say these intervals, right? Or else you don't know them enough to play them. And it mean you wouldn't know the importance of them, right? Or it don't matter or whatever. But yeah, you need to know the intervals like that. Just like how you you try to find out where C is on the keyboard real quick, so you can just press a C. You have to know your intervals just like that, right? And it helps you to can transpose things into other keys real quick, right? So right, the C major 7, and if I want to figure out 7 chords, so C, E, G. Let's go back on the piano, the keyboard. C, E, G, that's a 7th chord, major 7, C major 7. Here is a D minor chord with its 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In terms of the letter structure, in C we know that there's no black keys, right? In C we know there are no black keys, so it's quite easy to follow. So a 7th away from D is C. A 7th away from E is D. And you can check the musical alphabet, right? E to D is a 7th, F to E is a 7th, G to F is a 7th, A to G is a 7th, B to A is a 7th, C to B is a 7th. Here's a little trick. If you flip around the intervals, say C is no longer the lowest note, so just give them back a view there. C to B is a major 7th, right? But if I put that B behind C, it now flips to a 2nd, right? So whatever was a 7th, once it's flipped, meaning it's from C to B is a 7th, but B to C is a 2nd, right? And C to A is a 6th, right? C to A is a 6th. But if I should flip it where the A is the lowest note, let's use this A here and go to C, it turns a 3rd. So whatever is a 7th, once you flip it, it turns a 6th. 7th turns to a 2nd. Whatever is a 3rd, once you flip it, and let's go to the board to make sure you understand what I mean by flip. So C to B, C all the way up to B, is a 7th, right? In terms of interval space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But if I flip it, B to C, which is now B to C, which is literally 1 to 2, 2 is now a 2nd, right? So I'm saying the 7th and the 2nd, once you flip them around, what was 7 becomes 2, what was 2 is 7, right? Let's go further. C to A. C to A. I mean, this is not necessarily about 7 chords, but I think it's a good little thing to know. This is one of the, did you know? That's one of those kind of stuff. And you say, that's interesting. C to A is a 6th. And if I flip it around, what do you think will happen? This A to C is now a 3rd. It's clear, yeah, 3rd. A to C. A to C is now a 3rd. Let's say C to G. C to G, yeah. C to G is a 5th, right? But if I flip it around, what will happen? The 5th turn into a 4th, G to C. G to C is now a 4th. Let's check it. C to B, we know that, is a 7th. B to C is a 2nd, we know that, right? C to A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is a 6th. But A to C, 1, 2, 3 is a 3rd. C to G is a 5th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But G to C is a 4th, 1, 2, 3, 4. I hope you're seeing the pattern here. And then we can say C to E is a 3rd. C to E, yeah, C to E is a 3rd. C to E is a 3rd. What do you think will happen now? When I flip this around, it should become a 6th. E to C is a 6th. E to C is a 6th. Right? So C to E, 1, 2, 3 is a 3rd. But E, assuming E to be 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7 becomes 2, 6 becomes 3, 5 becomes 4, 4 becomes 5, and so forth. So, I mean, just look at it. Just look at it. Pause the video and look at it if you can. And test it by counting and assuming where you want to be and count them out, and you'll see the pattern. And this pattern will help you to just naturally calculate stuff a little faster. All right, so back to our major 7 chords. C, E, G, B. And it's not just major 7th, you'll have minor 7ths in there, because here's a minor chord, D minor. Here's D major, if I add the 7, not the 7th of necessarily, in the scale of C, in the scale of D, you know, let's stay in C major scale. So here's D minor chord and the 7th interval away from it. So we call this a D minor 7. Here's an E minor chord, and then in the context of only C major notes, E to D is a 7th, and that's E minor 7. And then here is a F major chord. Major chord, you add the interval as a 7th away in the context of C. F major 7. This is here is a G major chord with a 7. So this one is called a G7, not G major 7, but G7 or G dominant 7. And next time I'll talk about dominants, and they're really important. Dominant chords. And then here is A minor 7. So it's an A minor triad, and the interval is a 7th away from A, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, G. And here is this chord. This one is a little bit tricky. This is called a B half diminish. It's still a 7th chord because here's the interval of a 7th, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. B to A is a 7th. But what's happening inside here makes it not minor, just the typical minor 7th or just a major 7th. It's what we call, in classical music, a half diminished chord. In jazz, we call it minor 7 flat 5. So it's a B minor 7 flat 5, and typically in classical music, we call it B half diminished because there's a full diminish. But we'll get to all of that kind of stuff. So the reason I spoke just now about the 7 chords, and we have the G7 here, so I guess I can speak a little bit about dominant chords. So we're doing praise to the Lord. Here, let me just put it out there so we know the secret. Here's an A major chord with its 7th, a dominant 7th. A dominant 7th is not necessarily in the A major scale. What we normally have is a G sharp, but I flatten that G to a G naturally, you get a dominant 7th. So it's a flatted 7th. And in the next session, I will really get into this. But I just wanted to go through the sound quality in playing it in the hymn Praise to the Lord. So here we go. Let's play it up here. Is that A major 7. So the melody is at the top, so praise to the Lord the Almighty. That's a chord I just showed you earlier. Alright? So I'm playing in such a way that the notes are A, C sharp, E, G, but I'm not playing the E here, I'm playing the E down here, right behind that F. It's like it opened up. If I was in F and I did that, it'd be like. But I'm doing it in the context of C, so it have a different, kind of sound. So a nice sound. And if I should just play the chords and just, hum the melody. Da, 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 da. And the chord that I go to after that A chord, it's very relative, or in context of A. It's not just going to some. It's like what we call a 5-1 movement. 5-1 movements are very strong movements. Earlier we talk about 4-1, like how we end a song. And the 5-1 movements, the national anthem start with 5 to a 1, right? It's a very strong movement. I have to take a break just now, and we'll be back.
So if y'all remember last week, y'all, and this fish that we got as a gift, and then y'all also saw at some point where I tried to cut it, y'all, our knives in this house could not tackle this fish. So Babes and I made the executive decision that we would have taken it down to where fishermen always are. And they're more knowledgeable and equipped with knowing how to clean this fish, how to cut it, and they have the correct tools needed to do this. Like, they're the source. Like, they're the authoritative figure on cleaning fish at this time. And That's the same approach with our lives. If we want to know what we should be doing, what's our purpose, how we should be living, let's just go to the source, the God who created us. Isaiah 30:21 says, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it.
Grandma, what you doing?
I'm looking for a program on EJC to watch.
Oh, cool.
This looks like it's a good one.
Do it.
What?
Do it.
Do what?
You seriously not subscribed to EJC Virtual Church?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to subscribe to it.
Alright, let me show you.
I don't understand.
All you have to do is log in to your Gmail account on YouTube. Scroll up like this and simple. Press this button. Subscribe. Simple. Easy peasy.
Okay, it looks easy.
Alright, now if you want to use your phone to subscribe,
Yes.
all you have to do is click this big red word that says subscribe.
Yes.
Like this.
Okay.
And then you hit the notification bell.
That's easy.
Exactly. Now let's go continue watching this program.
Okay.
And we're back. So I was right at that 5 chord going to the 1, right? So we spoke about the 4 going to the 1. It's like a song that ends with amen. One of the prayer songs. You want the prayer songs, Roy? Or not hearing me at all. One of the prayer songs. Now, dear Lord, as we pray. No, just go here up here. Hear our prayers, O Lord. For amen. Or you can just hold the pedal, the C, which means to just keep it while multiple chords move. So you can pedal a note. So you can, that's what we call a pedal point, where we just have chords moving over one note. Alright, so amen. But 5-1 don't give you amen again. Nah, that's not amen. Here's amen. Amen. But this gives you a strong national anthem. And that's a good song to really look at to understand fundamental harmony. So we may look at it next session, the national anthem. It's arranged in such a way that we can see a lot of 5-1 movement, and by 5-1 I mean like a G to a C, or a B to a E, or a C to a F, or a G to a D. And that's simply me knowing from the board that the intervals of G to D is a fifth, F to A is a fifth, or F to B flat is a fourth. And people should know what I'm talking about. If you don't know, you need to get practicing. Right, so where we are. So all he who here, that's what the song says. I hope that's what the song says. So this is a C chord going to a F chord. And if I just play it like, but I'm just playing it like the melody. Right? I'm come up here. Some persons like to do like a E chord. and we'll talk about why we choose to go out the key like that, where in the key of C you don't have this G sharp. If I go, here's a G sharp here, and here it is again, but over a different chord. Right? So next session we will look at, I'll still try to go through it, but I'll definitely be going through some of the little ins and outs, what's happening in some of the details of making things have a little bit more color. All right, so let's just finish this song right here. I want to talk a little bit just about the touch. Touch is very important, and that will, and it helps to define the sound of why I would sound a certain way versus how somebody else would sound. And it doesn't mean one sound better than the other, it's just a different sound, which is different from the choice of chords, but just how the fingers go down on the keys, right? It's just a matter of that. So let me just play through a few chords. Or let's go back to the song I started with. Mercy said no. Alright, let's just talk about just that little part. I'm not going to be telling what the chords exactly are, all the simple chords, but I'm talking more about the approach to how we touch the keyboard, right? I don't practice bad touch, so I can't really give you a good example of what bad touch is, which is to just bang the notes. I'm doing good. This is pretty bad. That's not good. But the song doesn't start like that. You get that nice here right there. So sometimes when I'm listening to the songs, before I try to get at them, I'm not listening to what the chords are actually. At first, I'm listening to how the entire song makes me feel. So, and we worship God with our emotions. It's not just come and sound good or put on a show, but you really have to worship God with your emotions as well, and it come out in how you sing or how you play. Let's just talk about that. So I'm listening to the space. So sound, that's the space right there. And sometimes I'm not playing dead stamp on the time, meaning sometimes I'll just go a little bit behind the time. Sometimes it sits well, like, you know. It almost sounds like you're coming to the full stop. Like, my name is Audale Martin, right? It's like you're coming to it's like a language, so you treat it as such as well. And if you want to go big, you know, then that contrast from soft to very loud, that low note down there, and then get back soft again, kind of thing. I'm not playing anything technical. Those are like a F chord to a A minor chord to a D minor chord. Nothing technical. It's just the approach, right? And then to play the melody now, there's no singer here. So I really try my best to imitate a singer. I just work out the melody by itself. And when you're playing the melody, the way you play the melody, you should hear the chords. Or if you're playing the chords by itself, you should the way how you play the chords, it should help you to remember the song. Because many a times I don't know the song I'm playing. Honestly, I don't. But the way I'm playing with the intent that I'm learning the song while I'm playing the song. So I'm hearing the strings just the way how I'm touching the keyboard. I say, yeah, it sounds like what the track would do. Let me go a little further. And then I was just a child, so I felt there. I don't understand. I'm not like trying to push the chords and then I'm not doing that. I understand. And I'm just a little out of time right there. That's a little out of time. So you practice time so much to the point where you can play around with time. And sometimes some of the chords, some notes are louder. So like when, for example, the E up the top, it's really soft. You hear other movements, but it still encapsulates the entire sound. So sometimes I'll sit and I'll practice a C major chord, and I try to practice to get the C and the G louder than the E. Or I try to practice to get the E come up some more. So what I do, I sometimes press the E and then you kind of get closer to how quick you play everything until you start to get what you want to come out more than, right? So you want different parts of the chord to sound louder depending, or you want the first top notes or so. So going back into the song. So I just tease the melody and then just leave it. No, you may not be able to do all of this right now, but you're getting a little insight into what's happening in a musician's mind when he's playing this. And this movement right here, you may not know what it is, but I'm telling you what's the approach to it. So when we actually start talking about these movements and you're learning them, you already have an idea of the approach. If I was in the key of C, this would sound like, let me see. No, I'm in C. Can you hear that? Sound like C. Sound like a 1, right? It sound like that same, right? But it's like they do that somewhere in the where is it? Right. But it don't sound like 1 like in C. It's a C chord doing what it's doing, but in the context of a F. It's now 5 in F, it's not 1 in C. So it still gives that resolving feeling, but not in terms of where it is like at F. Right? But it's on the 5th. And then if you notice, I'm really playing that F a little louder, and then the rest of the chord is a bit softer. See that? See that? Because that's where the melody is. What's that? And then I think it's so if you notice where we get loud now when the full band comes. go back soft. You're right back into your lane. All right, let's go to the let's go to the bridge. So, and here is a crescendo dynamics. It just starts soft and get loud. So you start playing a little bit stronger. Key raise here. What's this? Something like that. So I start playing bigger right there. The song is going somewhere else. So normally you would also have Auntie Cecile and Renee and the Carnet doing instruments for change. So one of the things about singing, you don't want to have your song like here for the singers. You don't want to just have it at one place and you close your eyes and you sing and you alone enjoy your song. You want to bring your listener and your congregation to a next level, because that's what Christ is doing with us, right? Bringing us to a next level. So the music have to be doing that. You don't want to start and everything is just right here and you look a little slur, nice little slur, but you want to bring the song somewhere to a climax, and you bring it down and you just take time, bring it back down, and then you get an amen, right? So you have to think musical. You can't just think. You have to think real musical, and you have to have somewhat a plan in mind in terms of what do I want from the listener to feel. And it's not just, because the message is not just the words, it's how the words are conveyed, right? And that's why some preachers will get across to some persons better than some. So, and the same thing for the music, like, it's how you convey what you're saying. Sometimes the message is how you say it, not necessarily, or how you play it, not necessarily what the song is you're playing, right? And those things we tend to forget. I'm going to play this nice song. I'm going to sing this nice song, not remembering that you are part of the song, right? So those are some of the things I look on, and as time goes on, I'll give a little bit more details as to how a practical way to practice these, elements, I call them, to be somewhat a competent musician in assisting and complementing singers. So we have just a few more minutes. One thing I'll implore you to do is to listen, do a lot of listening, and bring in the classes somewhere else. So it will be moving away from just practicing scales and inversions and all of that. I think we have enough content to can go and practice and all of that. And then when we come back, because right now I'm at 7 chords, moving into something else, which is still intermediate, nothing complex, but you want to be grasping the things properly in the different episodes and all of that. So you want to be listening to a lot of stuff, not just the stuff that you like to listen so you can close your eyes and relax and all of that. But if you're going to be playing or if you're going to be learning different things, you have to listen to things that you don't normally listen to. Like if you listen to Gaither, you might have to listen to some other people, like Sandy Patty. I guess everybody listens to Sandy Patty, but you have to listen to other persons. You have to listen to some Kirk Franklin. You have to listen to some Hezekiah Walker, Fred Hammond. You have to listen to some other stuff, which open your mind. It can't just stay in the box of hymns alone. And these other stuff have hymn approaches in them. Like Uh, let me see. Let me see. Let's look at For Every Mountain, for example. For example. Let me see what else. Let's start from the part that goes. No, that's classical music right there. That's not necessarily what you'll find in your general hymns, but it's very classical. And arpeggios and all of that kind of stuff. Sorry. Some of it is a mixture, a lot of stuff, and gospel. We have to understand that gospel music is a mixture of a lot of stuff, very classical and then very contemporary. Like for example, that's not the same as. Or it's not the same as my mate, and my. It's not the same. It's a different thing. There's a different feel. There's a different push. There's a different pull. There's a different touch. So music has all of these type of things, and we'll go into all of that. But I just want to bring an awareness to what it is that we are doing here and what is it that you can get done in your practicing and all that. So in other words, don't stick to one thing. A balanced diet is not just lettuce. A balanced diet is not just protein, right? So don't just stick to one thing, and the mind and the body need you to exercise the muscle of the brain to move from point A to point B. All right, so that's it for today's class.
Join us tomorrow evening for Oh Give Thanks with Pastor Michael Lewis and the dynamic team. We look forward to seeing you at 7:30 p.m. sharp. A blessing awaits you.